AI predicts XRP and XLM as top contenders to replace Swift. Something's happening beneath the surface of global finance, and it's bigger than most people realize. While retail investors are distracted by meme coins and market noise, artificial intelligence has quietly identified a seismic shift. According to leading AI models, yes, including ChatGPT 4o and Elon Musk's XAI, the next era of international money movement won't be led by legacy institutions. It'll be led by blockchain, and the names topping every prediction model: XRP and XLM. Not Bitcoin, not Ethereum, not the latest hyped-up Layer 2. XRP and XLM. This isn't just another crypto pump narrative. These predictions are grounded in brutal, data-driven realism. AI isn't emotionally attached to tickers or tribal communities. It doesn't care about influencers or Twitter drama. It cares about fundamentals: speed, cost, compliance, scalability, and the ability to interoperate with the current financial plumbing. And when you feed these parameters into the most powerful machine learning systems on Earth, XRP and XLM keep rising to the top. The truth is, Swift is a dinosaur. It's been the dominant standard for global payments since the 1970s, long before the internet, smartphones, or 24/7 markets. But Swift was never built to move money. It was built to send messages between banks, who still settle payments manually in many cases. 3 to 5 days for a simple cross-border transfer? In 2025, that's unacceptable, especially when blockchain can settle in under 5 seconds, for less than a penny. XRP, developed by Ripple Labs, and XLM, developed by the Stellar Development Foundation, weren't just made for blockchain enthusiasts. They were engineered from day one to address real-world financial bottlenecks. And now, AI is recognizing what crypto insiders have been screaming about for years. These two assets are more than utility tokens, they're financial infrastructure. AI models aren't just running simulations on past data, they're scanning regulatory filings, central bank digital currency test results, financial institution partnerships, and even ISO 20022 migration roadmaps. They're watching adoption trends, policy movements, liquidity flows, and back-end integrations that never make headlines. And across thousands of permutations and data inputs, XRP and XLM keep showing up as the most likely replacements for Swift. Let that sink in. Not just alternatives, replacements. You won't hear this on CNBC or Bloomberg yet, but AI is already calling the next global standard before the world even realizes the old one is broken. And here's the kicker. It's not speculative fiction. This is pattern recognition at a level no human analyst can match. AI is drawing the line from where we are to where we're headed, and XRP and XLM are already in position. These aren't casino coins anymore. They're the base layer for a new global financial internet. If you're still waiting for mainstream validation, remember this. By the time the headlines catch up, the opportunity's already gone. The eye sees it. Smart money sees it. The only question is, do you? The case against Swift. To understand why XRP and XLM are rising to the top of AI's forecast models, you need to look at what they're replacing, and why that replacement is long overdue. Swift isn't just outdated. It's fundamentally broken for the demands of modern finance. Let's start with the basics. The Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication. Swift moves over $5 trillion daily. It connects more than 11,000 financial institutions across the globe. But here's the catch. Swift doesn't actually move money. It moves messages. It's like sending a fax to settle a trade in a world that runs on fiber optics. Every transfer over Swift is really just a relay of payment instructions across a daisy chain of correspondent banks. Actual settlement? That's handled manually. Can take 3 to 5 business days. And every link in that chain adds risk, cost, and delay. Fees stack up fast. Transparency is nearly non-existent. If a payment gets held up, good luck tracking it down. One delayed response from an intermediary, one fat-fingered routing code, and your transaction is stuck in limbo. For individuals, it's frustrating. For businesses moving millions across borders daily, it's a disaster of inefficiency and a silent tax on global commerce. Now throw geopolitics into the mix. Swift has been weaponized. used to cut off entire nations from the global economy with the flick of a switch. That's not a bug. That's the system working as designed. But it also means countries are scrambling to find alternatives, systems that don't rely on Western-controlled messaging rails. And that's where blockchain storms in. Blockchains don't ask for permission. They don't rely on layers of trust between counterparties. They validate every transaction on a shared, tamper-proof ledger. Settlement is final, atomic, and visible to all participants in real time. And the best part? No need for pre-funded accounts or third-party intermediaries. Now zoom in on XRP and XLM. These aren't proof-of-concept chains. They're not just riding the hype of crypto cycles. They were designed, architected from scratch for exactly this use case. Cross-border value transfer. Fast, cheap, reliable, scalable. XRP settles in 3 to 5 seconds. Costs fractions of a cent. Has been tested in pilot programs with central banks and financial institutions. XLM? Same story, built for inclusive finance, already integrated with payment corridors in developing markets, and powering real remittance flows. With Swift, you're stuck in a system built for the last century. With XRP or XLM, you're plugged into the future, where payments are programmable, final, and global by default. We're talking about atomic settlement, not batch uploads. You're not waiting for a clerk to approve a release. It's done. Irrevocable. Transparent. That's not just faster. It's a full-blown paradigm shift. And in a world that never sleeps, where money moves faster than news, this kind of infrastructure isn't optional. It's inevitable. The case against Swift isn't theoretical. It's operational reality. It's inefficiency baked into the core of our financial system. And when AI looks at the cost-benefit equation between legacy rails and blockchain infrastructure, the outcome is clear. Swift is the past. XRP and XLM are the rails of the digital future. Why XRP and XLM stand out? In a sea of over 25,000 crypto assets, most of which are vaporware or speculative tokens with no clear use case, XRP and XLM rise above the noise. And they're not just surviving, they're gaining institutional favor, regulatory clarity, and AI-powered validation at a level that few others can touch. At first glance, they may look similar. Both are fast. Both are cheap. Both were co-founded by Jed McCaleb. But under the hood, XRP and XLM are engineered for different lanes of the same highway, and that specialization is exactly why both are thriving. Let's break it down. XRP, the institutional weapon. XRP was never about retail hype. It wasn't built to power NFTs or meme-driven communities. It was designed from day one as a utility asset for financial institutions. Ripple Labs positioned it directly inside the banking world, and it shows. The XRP ledger, XRPL, uses a consensus protocol, not proof of work or proof of stake, which allows it to push through 1,500 transactions per second with finality in 3 to 5 seconds. Transactions cost less than $0.0002. That's not just fast. That's industrial grade. The real unlock comes from RippleNet's on-demand liquidity, ODL. Banks and financial service providers can use XRP as a bridge between fiat currencies, eliminating the need for pre-funded Nostro/Vostro accounts. Instead of tying up billions in dormant liquidity, institutions can settle in real time using XRP as the connector. It's efficient, it's scalable, and it works today. Ripple has inked deals with over 100 financial institutions, banks, payment processors, even central banks in pilot phases. The result? XRP isn't just theoretically disruptive. It's operationally integrated into global liquidity corridors. XLM, the People's Rail. XLM, developed by the Stellar Development Foundation, follows a parallel but distinct mission. It's optimized not for the giants of banking, but for the billions who remain underserved by the global financial system. The unbanked, the underbanked, the migrant workers sending remittances, the small merchants transacting in unstable currencies. Like XRP, XLM processes transactions in 2 to 5 seconds, at a fraction of a penny. But where Ripple targets big money flows, Stellar focuses on financial inclusion. Its ecosystem is built around access. Mobile-first apps, peer-to-peer wallets, and cross-border transfers without needing a bank account. It's also deeply integrated. MoneyGram's partnership with Stellar now allows anyone to cash in or cash out of USDC in over 300,000 locations worldwide. Stellar is powering CBDC pilot programs, and through Circle's USDC, it offers a stable, dollar-backed on-ramp that's already deployed in the wild. The AI seal of approval. When AI systems scan blockchain ecosystems for long-term viability, they're not looking for memes or market cap. They analyze throughput, resilience, real-world partnerships, legal risks, developer momentum, governance models. XRP and XLM keep landing in the top percentile because they check every institutional grade box. They're ISO 20022 compliant, meaning they can speak the same language as legacy banks. They're energy efficient, they're scalable, and most importantly, they're live, not waiting for some mythical roadmap update, not building toward a someday use case. They're doing it now. They have regulatory headway, they have multi-year operational history, and they have proven ability to integrate with both crypto-native systems and traditional finance. From an AI modeling perspective, this is gold. Predictive systems like XAI or ChatGPT 4o analyze not just what's working today, but what will continue scaling tomorrow. Both XRP and XLM show a high probability of dominance in cross-border value transfer because they've already proven they can handle the load. What you're seeing is a convergence, technical strength, strategic focus, and real adoption. That's not something you can fake. And AI is calling it ahead of the crowd. What AI models are seeing. When artificial intelligence looks at the global financial system, it doesn't think in narratives or speculation. It thinks in probabilities, data integrity, and cross-referenced outcomes. And right now, models like OpenAI's GPT-4o and Elon Musk's XAI are flashing bright green indicators on two names, XRP and XLM. This isn't about what's trending on crypto Twitter. It's about what the numbers, filings, and institutional behaviors are saying under the surface. Start with the raw data. These models don't just scrape headlines. They ingest millions of documents in real time. SEC filings, international regulatory guidelines, GitHub repositories, IMF white papers, global payment network documentation, liquidity indexes, and more. That's a scale no human research team can match. And what do these models consistently highlight? A convergence around two blockchains that most of the mainstream still underestimates. Let's talk about XAI, Elon's data monster. It doesn't just analyze technology. It maps geopolitical risk, macroeconomic trends, and legal frameworks across continents. When prompted to identify the most scalable and geopolitically neutral settlement networks ready to replace SWIFT, Ripple's XRP and Stellar's XLM aren't just on the list. They're leading it. XAI pulls from SWIFT de-dollarization chatter, BRICS monetary strategy papers, and central bank pilot disclosures. And it keeps returning to XRP and XLM as the dominant rails in a fragmented but converging financial future. XAI's assessment of Ripple's trajectory highlights three critical data points: consistent mentions in central bank digital currency pilots across the Middle East, Asia, and Latin America, increasing on-demand liquidity, ODL, integration with enterprise partners and regulated institutions, ongoing participation in ISO 20022 compatible message standards, which is crucial for seamless institutional onboarding. Then there's ChatGPT's economic forecasting module, which goes deeper into simulations. It doesn't just look at Ripple's past, it runs forward projections. If XRP captures just 10% of SWIFT's daily volume, around $500 billion, the token's required market cap to support that liquidity flow is in the multi-trillion-dollar range. That's not fantasy. That's what the math demands when replacing a trust-based system with atomic on-chain settlement. For XLM, ChatGPT's model pulls data from NGO financial distribution reports, cross-border remittance flows, and mobile money adoption stats. What it finds is a pattern of real-world use. Stellar showing up in pilot programs to deliver digital aid in places like Ukraine, Kenya, and the Philippines, often in partnership with heavyweights like MoneyGram, Circle, and even UN agencies. If XLM captures even a single-digit % of global remittance flows, currently over $800 billion per year. The model forecasts 10x, 50x scale growth in both usage and valuation. But the real kicker, both models agree this isn't a winner-takes-all scenario. They're predicting a dual-rail model, one built for global liquidity, XRP, and one for decentralized access and financial inclusion, XLM. XRP plays the role of enterprise-grade plumbing. XLM becomes the peer-to-peer financial internet for the unbanked. The AI calls it a complementary convergence, two sides of the same financial upgrade. In that context, the legacy SWIFT model, with its siloed intermediaries, daylight-only hours, and opaque fees, looks archaic. The future AI sees is interoperable, borderless 24/7, and built on rails that don't just move money faster, they rebuild the logic of the financial system itself. Let's be clear, these models aren't making investment recommendations. They're not saying XRP or XLM are guaranteed to moon. What they're doing is mapping momentum, analyzing institutional behavior, and predicting probabilistic adoption curves. They're identifying the protocols that check every box: speed, scalability, security, regulation, and real-world traction. And both models, trained on the sum of human financial knowledge, keep pointing in the same direction. The new global financial backbone. So where does this all lead? When you zoom out from the noise, the speculation, the tribalism, the daily price swings, and actually look at the infrastructure forming underneath the financial system, the answer becomes obvious. SWIFT isn't evolving, it's being replaced. And the names that keep coming up in that replacement thesis over and over again are XRP and XLM, not as hype tokens, not as crypto moonshots, but as critical infrastructure for a financial world that can't afford to lag behind anymore. Look at the hard moves being made. Ripple isn't just some Silicon Valley startup. It's embedded with SBI holdings in Japan, Santander in Europe, and central banks across Asia, the Middle East, and Latin America. Their connections with the Bank of England, Digital Pound Foundation, and ongoing discussions with Hong Kong and Singapore central banks aren't just headline fuel. They're deep integration steps. XRP, through on-demand liquidity, is becoming the invisible plumbing layer sourcing liquidity across borders without needing pre-funded accounts or SWIFT correspondent chains. That's a trillion-dollar pain point they're solving in real time. Now bring in Stellar, often overlooked, but quietly embedding itself at the grassroots level of global finance. The MoneyGram integration alone makes it one of the most accessible on-ramps for digital assets in emerging markets. But it goes deeper. Stellar is being used in government aid pilots in Ukraine, cross-border microfinance programs in Africa, and NGO relief operations coordinated by groups like the International Rescue Committee. When people say real-world utility, this is it: money moving faster, cheaper, and without needing permission from failing banks. And here's the twist most people miss. These two protocols aren't in competition, they're complementary. They share the same code ancestry. Both support ISO 20022 messaging. Both are designed for interoperability with traditional finance. And both serve different layers of the financial stack. XRP is tailor-made for wholesale liquidity. Think central banks, cross-border corporate flows, interbank settlements. XLM is built for retail-scale democratization. Think peer-to-peer commerce, remittances, mobile money for the unbanked. In a multi-rail, multi-currency world, the future isn't one chain to rule them all. It's a hybrid architecture where each layer is optimized for its function. And XRP and XLM are already slotting into those roles, not in theory but in practice. And that's exactly what AI models are recognizing. As these systems continue ingesting central bank reports, payment volume trends, developer activity, and institutional investments, they'll only become more confident in the same conclusion. Blockchains like XRP and XLM aren't waiting for approval, they're already being implemented. We're watching a once-in-a-generation shift in real time. The financial world is rebuilding its backbone, not with copper wires and legacy code, but with interoperable, real-time, borderless networks that were designed for this exact moment. And if you're still sitting on the sidelines, waiting for the old system to crash before making a move, you're already late. The collapse isn't coming. It's already started. And AI? It's not predicting the future anymore. It's mapping what's already unfolding, quietly, steadily, underneath the surface. So here's your signal clearer than ever. XRP and XLM are no longer underdogs. They are the architecture of what comes next. If you're serious about understanding where the world is heading, before the world fully realizes it, subscribe to Be Crypto Smart. Because we break it down before it hits the headlines, and we show you the signals hiding in plain sight. And if AI is even half right, XRP and XLM might just be the biggest wealth transfer opportunity you'll see in your lifetime.